Welcome to Ethos Effect.
Welcome to the Ethos Effect podcast. After building and learning from failures,
We discovered our ethos and leveraged it
to scale, sell, and build again our seven-figure businesses.
whether you're starting out or leveling up.
This podcast is your source for innovation and lasting impact.
Welcome to the Ethos Effect podcast. Today we had on Tomo Marjanovic from Aspire Rejuvenation Clinic.
I'd like to just let our listeners know that this particular conversation did get a little spirited. And by spirited, I mean there were some F-bombs. So if you don't like those, this might not be the episode for you. But if you are looking for some real energy, some real business advice, and to see somebody who used their ethos to literally transform their life, this is the guy.
Yeah, super cool story from bodybuilder, law enforcement officer to business person by kind of following what he was passionate about, what he knew. And it all led to Aspire Rejuvenation Clinics.
And now, Donovan said growth, national expansion with his company, which we're so excited for him. He shares a lot. He's an open book, which I really appreciate. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Welcome to the Ethos Effect podcast. I'm Donovan Reikus, joined with my co-host,
Chelsea Reikus.
And today we have Tomo Marjanovic joining us to discuss his business and kind of some of the stuff he's been through recently.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited about it.
I know it was difficult parking that truck of yours here in downtown Orlando, but we appreciate you finding a way.
I think no matter what I would have drove here, I think the parking would have been a disaster because it's downtown Orlando. It's always a disaster. It's just how it is, right?
Every single time. So tell us a little bit, tell our listeners about who you are, what your business is.
Oh man. So I am, I traditionally am not an entrepreneur. I tell this to people all the time. I was an accidental entrepreneur. I never wanted to be an entrepreneur, never wanted to be a business owner. When I became one, I learned very quickly that I was a fourth generation entrepreneur in my family. So I was a police officer for 12 years before I ever got into any business.
Here in Orlando?
No, in Cleveland, Ohio, and Clearwater, Florida.
Interesting.
So I did 12 years of law enforcement. Left law enforcement for, God, we could do a whole podcast on a list of reasons why not to be a cop anymore.
What's reason number one? Like, if you had to say the one reason. I don't want to say gun to your head because that's probably like really aggressive.
Honestly, that was
for this context.
That might have been the best part of it. Like the best part of it was the danger. The worst part of it was really you could no longer do your job. That's really what it was. And that's when it became sour to me.
Yeah.
When it's like, I'm getting yelled at for doing my normal job. I'm like, what is going on here?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing to even think that's a possibility. But, you know, the social climate with law enforcement took a turn. Really, I mean, pretty much during and post Obama, it started to spiral. But, you know, it goes in waves. You know, we'll be pro-police for a little bit. We'll be anti-police for a little bit. But I got out before all the George Floyd stuff started happening, so it was a good time to leave. So 2018 is when I left. Left that profession, went into working for a medical clinic, which, you know, while I was in law enforcement, I was a competitive bodybuilder. I was a fitness model. I was an actor. And, you know, I was always into...
So you hate being on stage and you hate the camera.
You know what's funny is I hate being on stage now.
Interesting. Outside of bodybuilding?
Being physical
I thought he was
stuff.
going to say like with clothes on.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I hate wearing clothes. I do hate wearing clothes, actually. It's a weird thing. We're in Florida, so we can do that, right?
Yeah.
No, but the stage thing for me, the physical part of the stage thing, it really took a negative turn for me. I did very well. I mean, I won my last show, won my division, missed my pro card by one spot. And I was basically told by the head judge, Steve Weinberger, for the IFBB, he's like, you're going to get your pro card one day. He's like, and then you're never going to win another show again. And I was like, kicking the nuts,
I'll stop
right?
now. Yeah.
So, but kicking the nuts. And I'm like, that was a really good thing to hear.
Yeah.
Pretty much sick. 'Cause I was already in business at that point. I was already making good money and, you know, in this health field. And he's like, focus on what you're doing. Yeah. You're really good at that. You know what I mean? Don't quit
your day job.
Basically.
Literally.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, I have great genetics to have certain things. You know, we all have our gifts and our talents, but I can't go I was a classic physique competitor. You guys know who Chris Bumstead is?
Oh, yeah. Donovan did bodybuilding, natural bodybuilding as well.
Yeah.
And was in a competition.
Quite some time ago. Yeah. It's such a ridiculous sport. But
it's ridiculous.
I mean, it's fun. Right. It's fun for the absurd amount of discipline. And it's cool because, you know, I'd say the number one thing people any person wants to do is like change their body.
Sure.
So to be able to do that to the degree, to that level is interesting, but it's absurd in the way you live, in the way you don't have a social life, in the way like, during prep, like the sexual dysfunction, like you just have zero anything for anything.
The last show that I ever did,
wow.
I was in a room. I was single at the time. I was in a room with extremely beautiful fitness competitor, bikini competitor, who I actually was friends with through social media. And we bunked rooms for this last competition that I did in December of 2018, shortly after I left law enforcement. And I'm in this room with this gorgeous woman, sexiest thing I've seen in person in, years, whatever. And I'm looking at her and I'm like,
I'm hungry.
Nothing. And I mean, like, we're naked. We're naked. We're like, we're comparing, like, she, like, there is no sexuality whatsoever. It's like, you have any more rice?
Yeah.
Want some more bland chicken?
Yeah.
It's such a funny thing. When you look at the back end of what bodybuilding does, which it's a ridiculous sport.
Yeah.
Yeah. To fill everybody in, it's just like you are so just zapped of energy. And like you're at that point, like obviously, to build up to the muscle pre-contest, you have to have your testosterone levels in good, in good form, right?
Sure.
Like you're not drinking, you're not smoking, you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
You're getting your sleep, you're getting your food. But as you decrease the food and you increase the cardio and the weightlifting, it just starts to just sap your testosterone to nothingness.
Yeah.
And you have no energy. You can barely make it through the day. You have no thoughts about anything in life. Like it's just, ugh.
Doesn't sound conducive to running a business.
No. I can't imagine doing that while doing a business.
I don't think it would even work.
Yeah, I did.
I really don't. I was working for somebody else when I had that last competition. So
I was actually working in a gym, so that's the reason.
There you go.
You owned the gym.
Yeah, I owned the gym, so it was very easy because you couldn't. Cheat really because you're in the gym, so you're gonna get your workouts in. And I could stop every 2 hours and eat. And,
well, I mean, my life in bodybuilding is what segued me into what I'm doing now. So, like when I was a bodybuilder in a young age, I started competing at 17 years old.
mm-hmm.
When I'm in my early 20s, I tell my coach, I'm like, "Hey, I want to be Mr. Olympia one day." Because every teenager says that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to be Mr. Olympia one day, and I know that takes steroids. That's what I told him.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "I want to start taking steroids." 17, 18, 19 years old, somewhere in there, and I tell him. And he's like, okay. He's like, I don't think you need anything because you're this age and your testosterone levels are probably crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So go get your blood work done. If you have a problem, then we'll address it.
Yeah.
I said, okay. And we're talking like 2003.
Mm-hmm.
This was clinics like this did not exist back then. Nobody's doing blood work back then for hormones.
Yeah, that was like before its time.
This was way before its time. So I mean, he was revolutionary in even telling me that. And that's very nice of him to say. So I go and get my lab work done, and my testosterone comes back at like 1460.
That's huge.
Which is
super high.
So he basically looks at me and he's like, by the way, the doctor that did the test accused me of taking steroids.
Yeah.
And I'm like, actually, I want to take steroids, but I don't need it.
Thank you so much. That's why I'm here.
I know, yeah.
Are you going to write me that script?
Weird, yeah. So he's, I talked to this guy's name's Don DeVito, since passed years and years ago. He was old when I met him in my teens. So he's like, you're basically naturally on steroids. Mm-hmm. He's like, you don't need to touch anything.
No.
I said, well, I know eventually I'm going to need to touch something, and I'm thinking, this is what I'm thinking in my head. So from that point up until when I actually got on TRT for the first time, which was 30 or 31 years old, I studied everything, anabolics, anything that had to do with hormones, endocrine systems. I studied everything. So by the time I left law enforcement and went and worked for a clinic that was doing HRT, which was the first clinic that prescribed me HRT, 10 years of midnight shift, law enforcement. Yeah. If you guys know what that does to your hormone system, destroys it.
Yeah.
Makes first sense. Responders have the worst hormone profiles, and military. Some of the worst hormone profiles you'll see because of the stress, because of the circadian rhythm disruption. So I go, my early 30s, I'm like, man, I'm getting a little chubby. I don't have a sex drive. I don't feel right. I'm a little depressed. So I go get my lab work done through my normal medical clinic, through the law enforcement agency. This is Clearwater PD.
Mm-hmm.
And I get my levels checked, and the doctor's like, yeah, you're good. You're good to go. 670. So I'm symptomatic at 670.
Yeah.
Which if you look on the range, that's not bad.
Yeah.
But that's like the reference range for blood work is all the people who are getting blood work that are fucked up.
Exactly.
So it's not a good
Easy.
indication. Okay, I'm sorry.
They're not good.
They're
Yeah,
not-
are we allowed to swear on here?
On the ethos effect, yes, but should
Okay.
you? Maybe not.
Okay.
But anyways, this is
Can I just drop one?
Yeah, go
Eventually,
for it.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it yet.
Just
I'm gonna.
surprise
you're gonna sprinkle it in.
I'm gonna
there
sprinkle
for
it
a
in
surprise.
somewhere. Yeah.
No, that's what I feel like, not to take away from the testosterone
true.
journey here, but
It's true.
for my female hormone journey, it's been super interesting to have doctors my entire life tell me like, oh, your thyroid's good, your thyroid's good, your thyroid's good. And then you see a functional medicine doctor that's like, whoa, like, yes, you might be in the average, but you don't want to. When in life do you want to be average? Not that and I take back what I said about that population, but it's not a good reference point.
Well, listen, I mean, the population, you're talking about the median
They're
population,
sick.
right?
Mhm.
So we also don't have reference ranges like, I don't know what you were at 18.
Mhm.
Should
I
you
don't
know?
either.
You
No.
should.
Yeah.
You should know what your optimal was at 18 years old. That would be a great thing for you to know. So why aren't doctors testing this stuff, right? In your case with thyroid, they were probably just testing TSH.
Yeah, exactly. There was
Ridiculous.
no antibody. And
They're not testing T3, T4. They're not testing anything. Your
Free.
reverse.
Exactly.
So, they're not doing any of these things. So number one, they don't even have the data. Number two, most medical practitioners don't actually even know how to look at the data to treat it properly.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on the mainstream medicine thing.
Mhm.
Big Pharma writes the books. Big
Ooh,
Pharma's the one.
That's our
don't get me-
industry. So
We agree. We agree with a lot of this, and we
We're
kind of
so
have
right.
taken this journey personally as well, where instead of having like our primary care physician,
Sure.
we have somebody that we have more on a subscription model to kind
hormone
of
doc.
take our blood work. And for me, it was in the form of taking a tiny thyroid pill that's like the size of a grain of rice.
Sure.
But suddenly I had energy to make it through the day. I was just getting exhausted at like 12.
Sure. How old are you?
30s.
You were 39.
Thanks.
See, isn't
39.
it funny how guys never remember their age?
But their wives are like, you're old.
I really haven't.
I'll be 39 in June, so we're the
okay.
same
Oh,
age.
nice.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
so we're the same age. I don't think either of us look 39.
There you
No.
go.
I probably do. I have more wrinkles
I don't
than you,
think-
but I'm stressed. That I
Wait,
like
do you
this.
I don't think
Botox?
you look 39.
No Botox. No.
Okay. Yeah, me neither.
Listen.
Hey, your face didn't move.
Your face didn't move when you said that.
But yeah,
Wow,
Not
this
moved
is
a
an
muscle in your
interesting
face for
one.
45 minutes. I don't believe.
I can't tell if you're mad right now or if you're enjoying this.
I love that conversation.
yeah, that was an interesting thing going through that experience because technically same thing. He did the blood work. He's like,
Sure.
well, it's not technically bad or under referenced, but
Yeah.
he's like,
Mhm.
it's in
It's
how
not
you feel.
optimal.
And this little minuscule little pill,
Yeah.
like makes all the difference in just feeling energetic.
Yeah.
So at the hormone clinic, and I know that you do a lot more than that. So tell us about that business specifically and like what your role is in it. Because obviously you're not a doctor,
No,
right? Which is
No,
something that I
so
found interesting.
I was a patient. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a patient of this field.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I started working for this medical clinic that basically gives me my first HRT exposure, which I know everything about already. I know how this is going to work.
All right.
Immediately feel better. Like within 4 weeks,
Mhm.
I'm feeling like myself again. I'm like, all right, I'm good. I know what I just fixed. I'm really getting sick of the law enforcement career. So now I'm like, all right, what am I going to do? One of my buddies like, why don't you go and work for that clinic that you're talking about? And that's helping you out. You know everything about this stuff. Go see if you can get a job. I said, not a bad idea. So I go up and I talk to the guy. He's since passed away just in December. Young guy too. Sad.
Yeah.
Either way, he gives me a job. And I tell him he's like, what do you want? I'm like, I want to do sales and marketing. I asked him, I said, do you have anybody doing sales and marketing for the company? Small, 700 patients maybe. And he's like, no, I'm really looking for somebody though. I want to get this going. And I said, I'll do it. He's like, you're a cop. And I'm like, I'll do it. He's like, what do you want? And I was like, match my police salary.
Yeah.
Stupidest shit I ever said in my life. Because I'm not thinking I'm just thinking about getting out of law enforcement. So
Yeah.
I'm like, match my police salary. Well, I'm not thinking of the fact that I work so much overtime so I can even afford to live. So I basically make myself immediately broke. I'm getting paid, I don't know, $56,000 a year maybe to do this, and I'm working my ass off. And I built this company from 700 patients to almost 4,000 in 9 months.
Dang.
Leveraging social media, leveraging, what I look like and who I am and Facebook groups and all this stuff. And I build this company up. Then I get a, baseball bat to the back of the knees and basically find out this guy's doing illegal stuff behind my back. Like basically it's a steroid ring being sold out of the back door of this legitimate clinic.
Shit.
fake prescriptions, fake drugs, anabolic steroids that are not prescribed, completely illegal shit, like bad. So I end up having to leave there, obviously, and I'm getting interviewed by the DEA.
There's a first for everything.
So now I'm on the other side of the table for a law enforcement side.
You're like, now law enforcement looks pretty good.
This is fun, right? This is fun. And, you know, that happened. I got that phone call the same month that I got my first big paycheck, which I got a check for $30,000. Most money I ever got in, one time. You know, it was half my police salary basically in 1 month. And I basically had to say to myself, I'm like, well, I'm going to leave this. Am I going to go back to law enforcement? Or am I going to try to do something with this? So I'm like, I already built this clinic once. I know what to do. For someone else.
Yeah.
I know what to do. Now I definitely know what also not to do. Several very bad things not to do. So I end up getting a business partner, put all of my money into this company, and end up starting what is now Aspire Rejuvenation Clinic.
Amazing.
And I mean, it's been a crazy story. Like when I think about it all and I talk about it out loud and I tell people the story, they're like, wait, so this happened with the DEA and then this happened with a business partner and someone tried to steal your entire business from you. And I'm like, this is business.
Yeah, you can't make this shit up.
But this is how it works.
Yep.
Like anybody that's been in an entrepreneur space, you're almost inevitably going to get screwed over somewhere. You're almost inevitably going to get like your stuff, whatever, like your concepts taken.
Yeah.
It's just part of it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. People just like have no respect or understanding of like what it took for you to get there. So they come and just, they think it's easy or it should be given away or they can take. And
my new favorite comment on my social media is, you grew up privileged.
Ooh.
And I love that. That's my favorite. You grew up privileged. Some of us don't have it like you, or must have been nice to grow up the way you did. I'm like,
how do you have a clue?
I'm like, you don't even know my history.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? But people automatically assume. They assume when you have nice things or when you have some money that you didn't work for it.
Well, the assumption comes from a place of, you know, it's like putting a mirror in front of somebody. And if they're like, well, I don't have the capabilities or even the desire to work that hard.
Sure.
Therefore, these people must have done something bad to get what they have.
Yes.
And to be perfectly honest, growing up, I grew up in Canada.
Yep.
My dad and my mom own a roofing company. And, you know, they did well, but I wouldn't say really, really well, especially early in my life. And there was this concept of like the doctors and the lawyers and the people with degrees and the people with money, like we weren't them and they are bad, you know? And then you know, it really kind of screws with your relationship with money.
Oh yeah.
Well, a lot of therapy for that one.
That negativity will repel money.
Well, exactly.
Exactly. Subconsciously, I always thought like, how can you be something that you despise? Like if you
never will.
If you distrust and don't like
yes.
the things you see, like you're not going to allow yourself to get there.
And money is just, and this might sound a little foofy for some of our listeners, but it's just energy.
Yeah.
It truly is, right?
Woo.
Like you really are money. Like you are all the things. So tell us, with your business right now, what has been like the catalyst to the growth? The thing that you would be like, because of this decision I made, I'm sure there's many, but you know, you have to pick one.
I would say being real with people and actually giving a shit in a field where nobody does.
The give a shit factor.
It's a give a shit factor. If that is a factor in business, give a shit actually means something, especially when you're in an industry where seemingly nobody gives a shit. Think of the medical industry. Think of every time anybody watching, listening, you know, and you guys, anytime you went to a doctor, what happens? You're on a hamster wheel. You have 3 minutes with the doctor. Then you meet with the nurse and they throw meds at you. And you basically are told, this was your problem. Here's your med to fix it. Get the hell out. We'll see you in 3 months. Make sure you pay your bill.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you don't pay your bill, you're getting hounded.
Yeah. Let us know if your insurance changed.
That's it. That's all they care about. So it's a money-making operation, and it's very cold, and it's very I don't know. It's just not. It's not friendly. And it used to be. Medical industry used to be friendly. You used to know your doctor.
It's hard to even get appointments. I mean, that's
well,
the
and
other
that
issue,
too.
You know, like so. Even
why do you use concierge medicine?
Yeah, exactly.
Why do you pay for 2 insurances and use a concierge doctor?
Yeah.
So we know why someone might, you know, call you or your business, right? So kind of that feeling, not feeling right, not feeling well, not getting the attention from your doctor, wanting things to be optimal, maybe not necessarily, you know, a illness or, you know, something needs to be treated with medication. But what does that process look like as far as intake, labs, going over the results, treatment plans, and I guess also like the billing model. I imagine it's kind of like the subscription base.
It's not.
No? Okay.
No. And
tell me about it.
It's basically fee for service or fee for meds. And I did that for a very specific reason. When I saw what people hated and what I hated about other clinics, and I'm not dogging any clinics that do this. There's a bunch of awesome clinics that do hormone optimization, hormone therapy, wellness, whatever it is that we, would be generalized as. And they do subscription model. That's fine if it works for you guys. I never liked it personally for the reason of I felt like I was almost stuck into something where, well, what if I didn't want that? What if I didn't like it? And there's contracts. People have to buy themselves out of contracts or get out of these contracts with these clinics. It happens. So when you go through us, and again, this is part of the give a shit model. Okay. Let's say you came in. I'm interested in whatever. I just want to get myself checked up. I don't feel right. Whatever it is. Or maybe you know that you need HRT or you're switching. You'll go through your paperwork, full medical history, going over everything and putting your ailments down. We're going to then send you to get blood work. So you go get your labs done. Now your lab results come back. You're scheduled with your practitioner. Your scheduled practitioner length of time will be 45 to 60 minutes. We schedule for 60.
Yep.
Whether it's 45 minutes or whether you take the whole 60, that's fine. Doesn't matter. So you're going to have more time with a doctor or practitioner than you probably ever had in your life.
Yes.
Unless you're paying for a very high-end concierge doctor. So you're going to have all this time with them. They're going to go over line by line every single piece of blood work, all of your medical history, all of your ailments, any questions that you have. So when you leave there, you should feel very empowered with knowledge. So you're basically getting an education session. So now you have an education session. You have everything in front of you. And we say, here you go. Here's our suggestions. You can leave.
Yep.
If you want. People have said, well, why would that, stop them? Well, what stops them from just going to their general practitioner to say, hey, here's my problems. I'm going to get these things. Yeah. How's that going to work out for you?
I've tried that before. It doesn't work.
So it doesn't work. So what we basically do is we're empowering these people to understand that here's the information that we are giving you. We know how to treat these things. We have the results. We have the reviews. We have all these things, right here at your disposal. Here's what they cost. If you want to use them, great. If not, okay. And then it gives them almost a feeling of, oh shit, they're not trying to sell me.
Yeah.
Because we're not. We have no desire to sell anything. We don't push medications on anyone. We actually deny medications on people all the time. I get people coming in and they'll be like, I want to take what Tomo's taking. No. You know what I mean?
Not how it works.
Tomo's got problems. Tomo's old. He's been a bodybuilder for a lot of years, so Tomo had to do some things in a different way than maybe you do, right? So, when I have somebody that's like maybe a 28-year-old who might have a hormone decline for something else, no, you can't have everything that Tomo's on. It's not how this works. We're going to tailor it to your blood work. We're going to tailor it to your needs. We want to have the most minimal intervention possible to get the maximal result.
Yep.
It's not about money. It's about treating you like an individual, like a person. And that give a shit factor has made us just grow and grow and grow to the point where, I'm in the process very slowly. Why do people work so slow right now? I don't know what's going on. 2024, like the year of slow business because people are not fast enough for me. I'm always about urgency. I'm trying to close on my Dallas clinic and my Cleveland, Ohio clinic, and then we'll do another one up in...
Is this an acquisition or new?
No, brand new locations. Yeah, we're building them, yeah. So we have one here in Orlando in Dr. Phillips. We have another one in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, technically north of Pittsburgh, Wexford. And then I have another location. I'm in the process of buying a building in Westlake, Ohio, which is a nice little area outside of Cleveland. High end, very good. And then, North Plano, South Frisco, Texas, right outside of Dallas.
How are you deciding on these locations?
I'm basing the states on where we currently have population of patients because during COVID, telemedicine went rampant. Right. Now, all these clinics, what they did is they basically banked on telemedicine, staying here forever. It's not. You're now going to have to open locations in different states. There's going to be mandates to have an in-person visit once a year. It's starting to revert back to the pre-COVID guidelines.
Interesting.
So some of these medical clinics that basically founded giant complexes of practitioners and patient care people that are like onboarding, and they wanted to have one big central location and do telemedicine everywhere. Doesn't really work like that after these laws change.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's gonna change. People are gonna have to pivot.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I've had two kind of different practices or physicians, in this way, and it just starts with a comprehensive blood panel. And like those blood panels are like $500, $600. Like it's everything. Like it's like 7 tubes of blood when I go.
Okay.
But then they go through kind of the whole thing. The first one I did was telemedicine. The one now is he's actually here in Orlando.
Sure.
So I thought that was interesting. I didn't realize that they had adjusted the guidelines for that during COVID. I mean, it makes sense.
They are doing it now.
And that's almost something I thought they would hopefully leave and,
Me too. And it would have been easier for people, but there's a lot of bad actors in the industry.
For sure.
That's true.
Yeah.
So when you have that and you have people kind of have too much freedom, someone inevitably is going to fuck it up.
Mm-hmm.
There's my F-bomb for the show.
Yes.
Now I get to do
it's
no
not
more.
just me, so it was you.
Yeah. I mean, it's a silly thing, particularly in the kind of care plan that you would have in your business because it's blood panel. I mean, you don't need to put your hands on someone, right? You need them to go to LabCorp.
Well, the video
request.
telemedicine used to satisfy the in-person requirement. That's
Right.
what it was for. So, it was for people like, hey, I can't get out of my house, or hey, this is, and I don't physically need to touch you to treat you for hormones. I know what's going on with your blood work and talking to you. Is it a good thing that they're reverting back? I don't know. Who knows?
It's a good thing for businesses like yours that are able and willing to pivot, right?
That's business in general.
For sure. And I think, I always wonder, and I'm always fascinated by like really large corporations versus smaller boutique businesses and just the ability to adapt so much quicker, which I think is a true honest advantage. When it comes to the human side of your business, tell us about how you've maybe built culture or not, or any of like the mistakes you've made on the human capital side. And is your industry, is there high turnover? Like what's that whole thing like?
We haven't had high turnover, but as we're growing and adapting, we're finding little holes. And I think that's normal in any industry. We're finding people that maybe don't really believe in the vision and, want to grow with us, where they kind of think like, we'll make a simple example. Like, I look at everybody in a growth perspective. So even if I have somebody at a front desk, do you want to live your entire life being at the front desk?
100% agree with that.
I hope you don't. You know what I mean?
You shouldn't be here. Like this isn't the place for you.
I had somebody that worked for us once, and basically like when they came in to work it was like Groundhog Day, and it was like they learned nothing from the day before, the week before, the month before, and I'm like, why is this still a problem? Why is the problem
not changed?
Why is the problem from 3 months ago, from 1 month ago, from last week, from yesterday? Why is it still the same problem? Why are you not learning and adapting? Because they don't care.
Yeah.
So, when you don't care about your job, I'm the worst employer ever. I am going to crawl up your ass and I am going to push you and I am going to come at you and be like, I need you to care because this is important.
Yeah.
And if you don't, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's like for me, I'm not trying to hold anybody back. I have a guy who has management potential, and he has a want to be a manager. The guy went to school for, medical health administration or something like that. He's got a master's in health administration. Smart as a whip. Young. He's like 25, 26. Super, very impressive guy. He's like, I want to be a manager. And he came up to me one day, and I'm like, okay, tell me about this, and what do you think about this? I said, all right, let's start testing you, right? Because I don't care if you want to be a manager. You need to show me. And he tells me, he's like, well, I can go into the hospital system and this is the first conversation. He's like, I can go into the hospital system and I can get a job as a manager doing this because of my degree. And I'm like, brother, if that's your dream, I'm like, do it. Mm-hmm. I'll shake your hand. I
won't get in your way.
Yeah. I'll shake your hand. I'll wish you well if that's what your dream is. I'm like, what's your dream? He had to think about it because, it's something that employers don't ask their employees at all. What do you dream about? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
You don't get that from anywhere. I mean, big business, they don't care.
No. And giving people a path to growth and development within an organization has been, at least in our business, so transformative. Of
course.
And, dramatically reduced turnover and just overall morale. And I think I talk about it a lot, but hiring according to values, not a resume. Like, we don't give a shit where you went to school. what big brokers you've worked for, like none of that matters. But do you share the value of like, we are disrupting things and we are doing the right thing for as many people as possible every single day, even if your job's harder.
Yes.
And your job starts when people tell you no. And like being up to that fight, because not everybody's up for a fight, you know, and like you got to hire a specific, at least for our business. I feel like if you're disrupting an industry, it's so important that the people you hire share that same fire and passion.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's the give a shit factor, right? Like you got to find a way to bring that downstream.
And it's also making sure they understand that this does not happen overnight.
Yeah.
You know, people are very impatient nowadays. I mean, I'm sure you guys see it. You know, I see it. I know. All right. So like we're the same age.
Mm-hmm.
So our generation, we're some of the earliest millennials.
Technically, yes.
Yes. So we're technically the earliest millennials. 85?
85. Yeah.
Okay. So 85 people are good people. We can be friends.
Everyone else though.
Everyone else, I don't know.
Everybody in that year is good.
85 people, good people.
Yeah.
So I mean, like with our mindsets, depending on how you grew up, there's people in my age group that are lazy, do not want to do anything. You know what I mean? And then there's people, you know, and then we go into the later stages. What are we at now? I know there was Gen Z. Now there's,
I honestly don't know.
I don't know. They're making shit up at this point because I thought Gen Z would stop. Is that what it was, reset or you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you certainly see the differences. I definitely.
But the culture has become, I want it now. I deserve it
entitled.
now. You know, a lot of entitlement. Like, you know, whenever anybody starts working with me, and I never tell anybody they work for me.
Yes.
At all. I'm not that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't even like when people call me boss. It's weird. Or that's my boss. I'm like, it makes me feel icky inside because I don't look at myself like that. You know, will I be top of the chain of command when shit needs to really happen? Yeah, sure. I will. Whatever. That's fine. But on a daily basis, you're working with me.
Yeah.
You're not working for me. We're working together. Like you are helping me do X.
Yes.
You know? So if I hire you to do any position, it's because I don't have time to answer the phone. So now I need a front desk person to answer the phone. You know what I mean? I've done every job in my clinic. I literally was one of 2 employees besides the practitioner when that clinic started.
And how many are you at now?
I think in Orlando, there's 13, 14 employees at that one. Pittsburgh is 6, 7 something.
And they'll all keep
and then
expanding.
I have the corporate side.
Nice.
You know, and then I have other companies I'm involved in. So it's like,
yeah, that's
a lot.
It absolutely is. And I feel like what's really consistent with the entrepreneurs that we speak to, and obviously for our own business, has just been like mastering the art of like talent acquisition and talent development.
Yes.
You know, like being the company that you say you are, living that every single day and like working. I feel like, and I've said this a lot, but the biggest honor of my life is like getting to employ other people and getting to help you build the life of your dreams for you and your family. The fact that like I'm part of that and can facilitate is like the greatest honor.
Yeah.
But it's a huge responsibility.
Oh yeah.
Right. And
well, because the buck falls on, it stops with you.
100%.
Like if you screw up, families can't eat.
No.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, 100%. Anxiety. I'm sweating already thinking about it, you know?
Absolutely. So speaking of, you know, effing up, I didn't say the real word this time.
We're being more cordial and classy now.
What word is that?
Don't do it.
Fudging.
I'm doing really well today. Speaking of that, what do you think, if you're willing to share, is one of like your biggest failures, mistakes, lessons?
Ooh.
Asking to match the cop's salary.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. You know, failures, I'm weird with failures.
You don't think anything's a failure?
I used to think everything's a failure. I used to hate my birthday.
Whoa.
I know. So listen, this is where I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to unpack this for you a little bit. So I used to hate my birthday every year. The reason why is because I would look at the previous year that just passed as a failure because I didn't accomplish everything that I set forth.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't look at the gratitude side of that and see what I did accomplish. Because no matter what, if you look backwards, if you measure backwards, you always accomplish something, unless you're literally just sitting on your ass doing nothing.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, with failure, I look at it as I either win or I learned. That's it. Every failure, you learn something. If you're not learning through a failure, you're not paying attention.
You're wasting time.
You're wasting time, right? So every single failure, I mean, can you think of any failure that either of you two have had where you haven't learned a lesson.
I'm definitely going to snap that and steal that one. If I didn't win, I learned.
That's it.
Like, that's it.
I mean, that's
there.
it. That's what it is.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even like I invested in a business last year, and I think we were in the process of potentially losing $150K. It turned around. It's still kind of a little bit of a mess, but I'm going to basically recoup my money.
Yeah.
A year of wasted time with no money made on that money, but whatever. It's, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm talking to accounting, and we're looking at this $150,000 loss. Maybe it was 175. I don't remember. And they're all like, "It's a big deal. We could have done this, and this is a problem, and look at this." And I'm like, "Hey guys," I'm like, damn, I'm going to swear. This is verbatim what I said. This is verbatim what I said. I'm like, isn't it fucking cool that we can like lose $175,000 and like
be okay.
Nobody's hurting? Like we didn't go hungry. Nobody lost. Like we didn't fire anybody. Like it was a decision. It was a bad one. So what did we learn? We're not going to invest in outside industries that I don't know about.
Right.
Like, that's what it was.
Yeah.
It was in an automotive side of a business, which I have a passion for automotives. I fucking love cars.
Mm-hmm.
I love cars. I love motorcycles. I love customization. I love tuning. I like all that stuff personally.
Yeah.
From a business side, never invested in that again.
Yeah.
So what happened? I may have just saved myself $1 million in 10 years.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, you either win or you learn is a concept where failure doesn't really exist. I learned it from every single failure, from every aspect of life, relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my marriage messed up. I'm not married anymore. Oh, I screwed this up. I'm like, well, you won't do that again, right? You learned.
100%.
It's a cool concept.
I love that. And I think I've always felt that like when we're going through like a problem that hits a pain point with you that you never felt before, right? In the moment, because you're like, ooh, like, damn, I haven't felt that before. Like you're feeling it in the moment. And then at the same time, as soon as I hit that point, I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because in order to find greater success, I'm going to find greater problems.
Yeah.
And as long as my problems are, kind of escalating and I'm solving them and moving forward, like that's going to have a corresponding level of growth and success.
Well, I mean, like, I don't want people to think like I don't get upset when failures happen, or I don't get upset when problems happen. Like you're going to have an emotional response. Obviously have a measured response,
Yeah.
But when you have those things, if you don't flip it and you don't look at it as some kind of lesson, I mean, even like childhood shit.
Yeah.
What did my father and mother getting divorced at a young age do to me? Right?
Mm-hmm.
What did it do? All right, well, it hurt me for this amount of years because I focused on it. All right. Well, now I'm 39 almost. If I'm still focused on that shit, or I'm still focused on a divorce that I had in my 20s, which happened, it's real stories, right?
Yep.
So I'm still focused on these things, and I'm letting them affect me negatively, and I don't look at them as, no, I learned some cool shit there, and this led me down cool paths that maybe it wouldn't have led me down. Why did I become a cop? I don't know. Was I looking for father figures? Probably. Was I looking to become more masculine personally because I didn't have a masculine role model because I was around all women all the time? Maybe. But would that have led me to law enforcement? Would that have brought me to Florida? Would that have put me in front of this clinic? Would that have led me down this path where I am right now?
Yeah.
Probably not.
100%.
It's a cool thing to think about.
I'm drawing a lot of parallels with, I had a brain injury in 2013 playing college softball, and I was hit in the head, and then it ended my career. I was supposed to go to med school, didn't get to go to med school, had to go back to Canada, do a brain injury rehab program for 8 months, like literally couldn't handle conversations, couldn't handle noises, anything, right? Like any photo stimulation, anything. It was rough, right? And I remember thinking in those moments, like, this is the worst possible thing that could have ever fucking happened to me.
Oh, yeah.
Like, my life is over. I will never be as smart as I thought I was, and you have all these people around you that like saw you as like this shining light for so many years. And then all of a sudden, like, you're broken.
Yeah.
And it's like, and my people in my family and everything, they were really honest. They were like, yeah, you're like, basically like your spirit's gone, for years. Cause I was so broken and depressed and like didn't think that I was going to get to the life that I wanted. But the interesting piece about that is all of that literally is the reason why I'm doing exactly what I'm doing. And it's serving as a story of inspiration for a lot of people, and myself included, right? But honestly, sometimes I feel like when you're in those moments, at least when you're younger, like now I know when shit happens and shit hits the fan, I'm like, let's fucking go. Because like I literally went through the darkest thing that I know of. And then it followed by a divorce and followed by a first business and all these different things. But there's just so much power in the process of pain. And I think, you know, especially as an entrepreneur, and like what Donovan was saying, like the bigger your problems, the bigger the pain, but the bigger the reward, right? Usually the bigger and better your business is.
If it doesn't stop you and you don't kind of sit in your own pity
In your
on
own-
it, you know what I mean? And you're just,
And like get mind fucked over it.
It's funny how problems just start to compound and problems start to become more apparent and more frequent and larger. It's a great philosopher and prophet. I think you said more money, more problems.
there you go.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, I mean, think about it.
Dangerous man to quote.
I mean, I know. Yeah, we're hitting under the table here, but real thing,
Right.
Yeah, so you know you have to bring yourself to a point. I think most entrepreneurs that are very, very successful deal with problems very, very well.
Yes.
And I think most people that are very, very successful understand that pain is a necessary part of every process.
Sure.
Kids need to learn this stuff. And the problem with a lot of young people today, in my opinion, they're not going through enough pain.
I know where you're going with this.
They're not going through enough struggle. They're being coddled. They're being told everything will be okay. They're being, you want to know what the thing I hate the most? That people say all the time to young kids. This is going to be controversial.
Oh, go. Green light.
You can be anything that you want. No, the fuck you can't. I cannot be an NBA player.
Right.
I'm not that tall. I'm like as tall as a point guard. Okay. I don't jump that high. I'm a shitty shot. No matter how much practice I did, I would never be an NBA level caliber player. No, I can't do whatever I want. Now, what are we being taught in school when we are told we can do anything we want? We're getting taught all of these subjects, right? Nobody in modern day school is focusing these kids. Nobody is paying attention to how these kids learn. Nobody's paying attention to what they have an aptitude for.
Yeah, what they like.
What they like.
Yeah.
You know?
Where their strengths are.
Where their strengths are. All they're saying is, oh, you're really, really good at this. Cool. But what about that geometry test that you're never going to use ever in your life?
Yeah.
We literally were just having this conversation.
You know?
Yes, 100%.
So bringing it back to your biz, how do you see that industry kind of changing, and what are you kind of doing? You know, I think TRT, HRT, you know,
Can you guys say what those acronyms are for the listeners who don't know?
So testosterone replacement therapy or hormone replacement therapy. I don't know if they're interchangeable or HRT covers both.
HRT covers all hormones, which testosterone is obviously a hormone.
Right.
So is estrogen and progesterone, ladies?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, thyroid, everything. So, you know, I don't even like to say replacement anymore at this point. Do some people need replacement therapy? Absolutely.
Supplement?
Optimization therapy.
There it is.
So do you think this is going, to me, I think of it as like going into the longevity stuff a little bit more. I don't know if that's where you see it going, but what are you building towards? How do you see that kind of changing as you grow?
This is a holistic wellness thing. So from my perspective, if you really look at the idea of everybody, that's a tag word, right? Holistic. Everybody's like, I want to do it the most holistic way. What the hell does that mean? Okay.
It sounds like something you would say.
It's, I mean,
what?
It's
holistic.
Why are you calling me out like that?
But it's
she didn't
holistic.
She didn't say it wasn't true.
So holistic. So when you say holistic, what does that mean? It means whatever is targeting the body in the most natural way possible to affect every aspect of the body. It's the way I looked at holistic.
Okay.
So if I look at you as a man, let's say you're 60 and you have all these issues. What is more holistic? For me to give you the Band-Aid solutions that Big Pharma gives you for every single problem that you have, blood pressure, cholesterol, ED, all these things, right? Whatever. Or if I say, well, I can fix that with one bioidentical hormone, because men really are super simple. You fix your testosterone level, pretty much everything works better.
It's so annoying, by the way.
We are so simple.
It's
like putting gas in the car.
That's it. That's all we need. You put testosterone in us, we're like, oh, everything's fine. Mental clarity, mental health. Like we're happy again. Like all of it runs on testosterone. So when I look at it,
so jealous.
It is a holistic wellness capability that we have. So if I can affect all aspects of your body, from your mental health to your physical health to your physiological health to your organ health, to the way that your body processes everything, it all stems from hormones.
Mhm.
Why does the body start to degrade after a certain age? Does anybody find it weird that during menopause or postmenopause, and now male menopause is called andropause.
Okay.
So during menopause and andropause, what starts happening to that age population of men and women? Their hormones start going down, illness starts going up, metabolic issues start going up, they start gaining body fat. They now have all of these health-related issues that are associated with quote-unquote aging.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So now what if I tell you I can just optimize your hormones and you no longer will age that way and you will not have all these myriad of health problems? I just solved all of medical science. This should not
the
be
healthcare industry is about to lose a lot of money on this one.
And that's that's
No,
why
that's exactly
that's
it.
why insurance companies don't cover this.
It's misaligned
Yeah.
incentive.
Yes.
So that's the tough part is for most people, like for most Americans, a lot of them, they're not going to consider something that their health insurance is not going to pay for.
course.
And, I know from doing it and doing the blood work and all that kind of stuff, like my insurance is not going to pay. The blood work ranges from $300. I think the most I paid was like $550.
Sure.
And, that comes 100% out of pocket. And that's the unfortunate part. And to be honest, being on the other side of it, being on the health insurance side, I can tell you employers can't afford it either, because if that was covered, we would have a huge healthcare, not that we don't already, but it'd be compounded so much more, because we're seeing that already, even just with the GLP-1 agonist.
Yeah.
So that's the semaglutide, the
Tirzepatide,
Wegovy, what's the big one? What's it called?
Ozempic.
Ozempic, Wegovy, that stuff.
Employees
That shit
want
is
their
driving up
employers to cover
we're
it.
starting to see that be like 10% of the insured population is taking that.
Sure.
And it is hundreds of dollars a month. It's $800 to I think $1,200 a month per employee.
Well, we prescribe it at the clinic.
It's
But
insane.
we use it as kickstarters for people that are very obese.
Mhm.
Yeah.
These are drugs that were meant for diabetic patients, obviously. Ozempic, not a huge fan of it.
Mhm.
The other one, I think it's Wegovy, is Tirzepatide, which is kind of like a better version of what Ozempic was. They're still GLP-1 agonists, but the way that they behave in the body, much less side effects, much less issues. But the problem that I see is that weight loss clinic and doctors, they aren't even addressing anything else. All they're saying
Right.
is, take this and lose weight. That's not how this shit's supposed to go. It's
Yeah.
supposed to be a Kickstarter. You're not supposed to be on this forever. You're supposed to make a lifestyle change,
A holistic change.
a holistic change. See, she gets it.
It's like this in between space of, like a personal trainer, a physician that will actually take time with you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You're kind of bridging that gap. And as I see it, like being in the middle,
Yeah.
right? Because like
Well,
personal
again-
trainer is going to tell you next nothing about nutrition.
Sure.
Certainly, I mean, they might try to sell you supplements, but nothing kind of in the middle. And then the primary just wants to make sure you're not dying.
That's pretty much
Right.
it.
So-
And me not being a doctor, I think is a help.
Mhm.
Obviously we employ doctors, obviously we employ practitioners of all kinds. But the way that I look at medicine is not how people are traditionally taught about medicine. So
That's the disruptive piece.
that's the disruptive piece.
Yeah.
I look at it like a patient. If I was a patient, how do I want to be treated in this industry? Well, I want my problem solved. I don't want a Band-Aid solution that's going to cause more problems, right? So I want my problem solved, number one. I want to be treated like they actually give a shit about me, number two. And number three, I want to be able to talk to somebody or contact them or tell them if I have a problem.
Yep.
That's a
when I have a problem.
but that's a wild thing that I didn't know I didn't even know that was a thing.
Right.
Like in my industry, I'm talking about in my niche part of medicine, they're like, oh my God, I'm so grateful. Like when you call the phone, they pick up. I'm like, what do you mean?
Is this really the problem we're solving for?
Were you calling a clinic? Were you calling a clinic and
Dude,
they were just never picking up? I'm like, I didn't even know that was an actual.
The bar is low.
Apparently,
The bar is low sometimes, and it's sometimes funny when you have to explain it. And I don't know. We do the same thing. We do the same thing in our industry where it's like, is this a crazy ask for people to like?
It's not one. Then I'm looking at tech. Like one of my next arms of business is developing an EMR, EHR, electronic health record, electronic medical record software for my company. I tried to hire 20 different companies to just add on to their platforms. I'm like, I'll pay you tens of thousands of dollars to do this. Nobody wanted to do it. So I'm like, all right, now I'm going to find software developers. Now I found a giant problem in the industry. And I'm telling a mentor and friend of mine now, do you know who Patrick Bet-David is?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a meeting with him. Yeah, so we have a meeting with him tomorrow. Sorry, my assistant behind that. You know, I hate calling him an assistant, by the way. He's my buddy. Like, we've actually been friends for a long time, but he's working with me now. So Patrick Bet-David, he was talking about this software thing that I'm doing, and he's like, Tomo, that's going to be like $1 billion company if you fix this problem. He's like, that's going to be crazy. The automations that I want in here are like technology from 2010.
Yeah.
Like, why is no one doing this? Because the medical industry does not give a shit.
Yeah.
That's it. They don't want to solve these problems. They want...
Because they profit when you don't solve these problems.
There you go.
There's no huge revenue tied
This is
back to that.
reminding me of Michael Gorton's digital medical home. Have you heard about that?
No.
So Michael Gorton is the founder of telemedicine. He was our first guest on the Ethos Effect podcast.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Founder of Teladoc.
Well,
So,
but
like,
no, he also founded the
Teladoc.
entire
I know
industry.
Teladoc.
The
Okay.
OG, yeah, no, they were the first. You know,
Yes.
they're like the first.
But also telemedicine
yes.
as a whole.
Wow.
So when you were talking about those regulations with telemedicine, part of the conversation we had with him, and he was like, his office was raided by the FBI because the whole thing was like, you have to put your hands on patients. That was the one of many.
Yeah.
But anyways, point is this project he's working on, Digital Medical Home, there's a book. I'll send it to you. I read it before I interviewed him. But it's basically, it's doing something similar. So perhaps it might be something worth looking into.
Oh, I love that.
It's like putting all the data together in front of the electronic medical record from like everything, your Apple Watch, your
Wearables.
blood work, like everything.
Wearables are huge.
Consolidating.
I'm wearing
all
one
of
right
it.
now.
Oh, is that really?
This is a Oura Ring, although I'm not sponsored by these people, and I don't actually like it that
I
much.
do not endorse this.
So I do not endorse this. It's cool, but it disconnects all the time. You cannot use it in the gym because number one, it's clunky and bulky, and I think I already broke it.
Nice.
I've only had it for like a month.
We usually wear the Whoop, which is pretty nice because you can forget it's there.
I just don't like something on my wrist all the time.
You know, I'm with you.
Mhm.
I quit wearing it and now I don't want to put it back on.
Yeah.
But it was cool.
We can ask Elon Musk. He can just give us the implant thing in the side of our head,
you
and
go.
then we're good to go. Kidding about that. Don't do that, please.
So to wrap us up today, share with us and our listeners what your ethos would be if you had to put it into words.
What my ethos would be.
Yeah. So your guiding principle, your guiding character that kind of made you do all that you've done.
To break it down into one thing, honestly, I think it's so cheesy and lame to even say it out loud. It's just, it's literally finding ways to help people live a better, more optimal life. And every business that I'm involved in segues to that when I really think about it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a executive partner in a company that deals in crypto liquidity pools. Why am I in crypto liquidity pools? One, because it makes great money on the returns, but why are other people involved? Why do I tell people about it? Because it makes them great money and they can get passive income out of it. And it's not bullshit, right? I'm not telling you just go trade coins and do whatever. It's not a good way to make money on crypto anyway. Why do I do that? So people can live better lives. Why do I have the medical clinics? Live better lives. Supplement brand. You know, I have a supplement company with 2 partners. Why are we putting out what I'm noticing is the most expensive product to manufacture? Why are we not marketing it up the way that the rest of the supplement industry does? Well, number one, it'd be unaffordable. We want people to have it, have accessibility to it, and we want to actually solve their health problems with these supplements. So, you know, all in all, my ethos is just helping people live more optimally. I think living an optimal life is easier than ever now because of the way information is spread. Podcasts like this, everybody's podcasts out there when we're talking about health, wellness, we're talking about food. I mean, you know, my social media blows up on my food related content, and I get people arguing with me and they get pissed. You're not a nutritionist. How dare you say this? I'm like, show me your data, show me your research. I'm like, guys, I'm not Google. I'm just going to tell you how I feel.
Yeah.
And this is, and
tell you what works for me.
What works for me. And this is what I believe. And you can do your own research and verify or dispute it, you know,
Or just not listen.
or just choose not to listen or follow me, which
Turn off the channel. It's fine.
Most of these people weren't followers in the first place. Right.
Right.
But yeah, my whole idea is just helping people live a better life. And I feel like, you know, we can spread this good information and we have more of a platform as individuals.
Yeah.
To spread information like this better than ever. This could never have gotten out there. We couldn't get on the news. If this was 30 years ago, we wouldn't be able to get on Fox News, CNN, MSNBC. We wouldn't be able to do that shit.
Right.
That's very difficult to do. Now we have a platform. Now we can go on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everything. And people can find this and people can say, oh shit, I never thought about it like that. or, oh, I didn't even know this existed.
Right.
You know?
Yeah,
What an amazing thing.
absolutely.
Well, where should people go to find you to, keep up with the clinic, with Aspire Clinic, or maybe the supplement brand, anything you're doing?
Yeah. So all of my social medias are at Tomo Marjanovic. It's Tomo. If you start typing my last name, it's Marjanovic. It's a mouthful. I apologize. I also have tomomarjanovic.com. I have a podcast on YouTube and all podcast channels called Tomo Talks.
Is it only a health podcast?
No, it's all over the place.
Cool.
I like to talk a lot of.
You dabble?
Yeah, I like to talk a lot about
Just say
different
we kind
things.
of went through a lot of topics. I imagine it'll go like that.
That was fun.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Like
that's
it.
just how I operate. I like to have just open, flowy conversations, you know. That's how my podcast works. And, the Aspire Rejuvenation clinics, aspirerejuvenation.com. We have more locations opening up. We're currently still doing telemedicine nationwide, but we will be changing that because of the laws. And we're going to be opening up brick and mortars. I'm excited about it. I think the idea of this changing is going to just make us spread faster.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah.
And that will allow you to bring your ethos all over the country.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here today. We'll have to have you back because I feel like I had so many more questions and this was really fun. So
Oh yeah, we could probably do this for 3-4 hours. It would get people would get
the
tired.
crew here's like, guys, can we go home?
Yeah. They're like, we're done.
All right. Thank you again.